Berbagai upaya yang dilakukan UT untuk meningkatkan angka partisipasi kasar APK perguruan tinggi serta pemanfaatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi dalam proses pembelajaran merupakan tantangan sekaligus peluang dalam upaya meningkatkan kompetensi SDM bangsa yang berkualitas.
Hari ini satu lagi tonggak sejarah perjalanan pendidikan kita pancangkan, khususnya di bidang pendidikan tinggi, yaitu dengan diresmikannya Universitas Terbuka.
Sejak berdiri pada tanggal 4 September 1984, UT dengan sistem pembelajaran terbuka dan jarak jauh telah menunjukkan karya nyata dalam pemerataan pendidikan tinggi yang berkualitas dan meningkatkan kesempatan belajar untuk semua. Peran UT dalam menumbuhkan konektivitas bangsa di era siber inilah yang diangkat sebagai tema disenentalis UT ke-35 tahun ini. Dalam kiprahnya selama 35 tahun, UT telah menjelma menjadi sebuah PTJJ yang modern. Saat ini, seluruh layanan kegiatan inti layanan mahasiswa dapat dilakukan secara fully online, mulai dari registrasi hingga ujian. Saat ini, UT telah menawarkan 40 program studi jenjang sarjana, diploma, dan magister di bawah 4 fakultas, yakni Fakultas Ekonomi atau FE, Fakultas Hukum, Ilmu Sosial, dan Ilmu Politik atau FISIP, Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan atau FKIP, dan Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi FST. Selain itu, UT juga menyediakan program sertifikat berupa program mata kuliah mandiri atau PMKM, program Massive Open Online Courses atau MOOCs, program pendidikan berkelanjutan, serta program pelatihan instruksional, PJJ, dan kemampuan profesional. Sebagai PTN yang menerapkan sistem belajar jarak jauh, UT berupaya untuk memberikan layanan agar mahasiswa baru mempunyai kesiapan mengikuti proses belajar di UT yang berprinsip pada belajar mandiri. Sejak tahun 2018, selain memberikan orientasi studi mahasiswa baru atau OSMB, UT juga memberikan pendalaman materi kepada mahasiswa baru agar lebih siap menjadi pembelajar mandiri yang tangguh melalui kegiatan pelatihan keterampilan belajar mandiri atau PKBM yang merupakan bagian dari kegiatan edukasi keterampilan belajar mahasiswa atau EKBM. Berbagai inovasi dilakukan oleh UT untuk peningkatan layanan pendidikan melalui pemanfaatan teknologi informasi dan komunikasi terkini agar mampu menjangkau seluruh kalangan, dimanapun dan kapanpun tanpa kendala. Bahan ajar sebagai materi utama dalam pembelajaran disediakan, selain tercetak juga berbentuk digital. Bahan ajar digital ini bersifat interaktif dalam format EPUB serta dapat diunduh secara gratis dan digunakan secara offline oleh setiap mahasiswa UT melalui berbagai perangkat, baik tablet, handphone, maupun desktop. Dalam rangka untuk memfasilitasi pemantapan hasil belajar mahasiswa secara mandiri, UT menyediakan pembelajaran secara online yang disebut tutorial online atau tuton yang bersifat asinkronus. Selain itu, tutorial bersifat sinkronus juga disediakan dalam bentuk tutorial berbasis web atau TWeb, e-lecturing, dan video conference atau Vicon. Dalam penyelenggaraan ujian, inovasi dilakukan dengan pengembangan sistem ujian online tanpa pengawas ruang yang hadir secara fisik di lingkungan mahasiswa, yang disebut dengan online proctoring. Dengan online proctoring ini, mahasiswa dapat ujian dimanapun selama mereka memiliki akses terhadap internet. Selain itu, untuk mendukung kegiatan belajar mahasiswa, berbagai fasilitas belajar yang dapat diakses mahasiswa secara langsung antara lain UT TV, UT Radio, perpustakaan digital, materi pengayaan mata kuliah berbasis online, latihan mandiri, dry lab. Fasilitas lain yang diberikan UT untuk mendukung proses belajar online adalah fasilitas internet gratis berupa Wi-Fi ID dan Microsoft Office 365. Untuk memperluas jangkauan layanan hingga ke seluruh pelosok dan luar negeri, UT memiliki 39 kantor UPBJJ atau unit program belajar jarak jauh di seluruh Indonesia dan pusat pengelolaan layanan luar negeri. Selain itu, UT juga bekerja sama dengan berbagai mitra untuk mendirikan sentra layanan UT atau salut di beberapa wilayah. Untuk menjaga standar mutu UT, secara kontinu UT selalu direview oleh Badan Akreditasi Nasional maupun Internasional, yaitu oleh International Organization for Standardization atau ISO, Badan Akreditasi Nasional atau BAN-PT, dan International Council for Distance Education atau ICDE yang berpusat di Oslo, Norwegia.
Maka yang namanya e-learning kalau kita kembangkan, classroomless, borderless akan terjadi. Tidak ada lagi kelas, tidak ada lagi batas negara, maka pendidikan tinggi harus kita lakukan suatu perubahan yang mendasar. Pada saat kesempatan ini yang sudah memanfaatkan peluang semacam itu, hanya satu-satunya di Indonesia yang pertama kali hanyalah Universitas Terbuka yang dalam hal ini.
Dalam upaya meningkatkan angka partisipasi kasar perguruan tinggi nasional yang masih rendah, berbagai upaya kerjasama dilakukan dengan perguruan tinggi atau instansi lain. Kerjasama ini sangat penting untuk menyukseskan program strategis Kemendristek-Dikti terkait penyelenggaraan pendidikan jarak jauh dan pembelajaran dalam jaringan yang akan semakin diperluas bagi perguruan tinggi lain.
Dengan capaian jumlah lebih dari 1,7 juta alumni, serta hampir menjangkau seluruh kabupaten kota di wilayah Indonesia dan 39 negara, terbukti UT mampu mengemban misi pemerintah untuk membuka akses pendidikan yang seluas mungkin bagi warga negara Indonesia dimanapun mereka berada, serta mengukuhkan konektivitas bangsa di era cyber.
Pendidikan adalah wahana untuk menggapai mimpi dan mengubah masa depan jadi lebih baik. Hari gini, gak ada alasan buat gak kuliah. Kita bisa kuliah tanpa mengorbankan kegiatan yang lainnya. Bahkan waktu dan tempat pun bukan masalah. Siapapun kalian dan dimanapun kalian berada, ciptakan kampus untuk kuliah dan kampus yang akan mendatangi kalian. Ya cuma UT yang bisa begini.
Perkembangan COVID-19 mempengaruhi dimensi kehidupan, termasuk bidang pendidikan. Belajar melalui online adalah suatu keniscayaan. Universitas Terbuka sebagai perguruan tinggi negeri yang berpengalaman dalam pembelajaran online selama lebih 35 tahun, siap membantu menyediakan platform layanan online bagi perguruan tinggi negeri atau swasta yang membutuhkan. Universitas Terbuka, making higher education open to all. Universitas Terbuka tanggap COVID-19. Sejak merebaknya COVID-19, Universitas Terbuka melakukan pencegahan dalam bentuk penyediaan hand sanitizer, alat pengukur panas tubuh atau termogan, sterilisasi dengan penyemprotan disinfektan ke seluruh ruang kerja dan area Universitas Terbuka, pemberian vitamin bagi staf, penyediaan wastafel cuci tangan, pembagian masker di lingkungan Universitas Terbuka seluruh Indonesia, sosialisasi pencegahan COVID-19 melalui berbagai media, pemberian bantuan platform learning management system bagi perguruan tinggi negeri maupun swasta yang memerlukan. Mari bersama kita pangkas COVID-19.
Hello everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Welcome in developing design for online learning system, preparing learning management system, and providing free access to digital learning materials for lectures and students. The audience are lecturers, teachers, and academics from who are interested in online, and this the number of participants who have registered in Microsoft Teams are 2,083 participants are not only from Indonesia, but also from Arab Saudi, Bangladesh, Hong Kong, Pakistan, Singapore, and Taiwan. Ladies and gentlemen will attend with us to share ideas and experiences. Minister of Research and Technology, Republik Indonesia, Dr. Zahid Majeed from Allama Iqbal Open University, Islamabad, and Aminudin Zuhairi, Ph.D. from Universitas Terbuka, Indonesia. This KSF will be opened by Professor Ojat Darojat, Ph.D., Rector of Universitas Terbuka, and the discussion in KSF will be guided by myself, Mohammad Yunus, from Universitas Terbuka. During the webinar, only the speaker will have access to speak. To raise questions, the participant can use chat or QA features. The webinar is also live streamed via Universitas Terbuka TV YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, to open the KSF this morning, I invite Director of Universitas Terbuka, Prof. Ojat Darojat, Ph.D. to the welcoming speech. Please welcome Prof. Ojat Darojat.
Thank you, Pak Yunus. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning, everyone. Just before we get started our international webinar today, we call it Knowledge Sharing Forum or KSF, Universitas Terbuka. I would like to express my gratitude to all our speakers from different countries, and also to our minister who accepting our invitations. Our respective minister, Prof. Bambang Brodjonegoro, Ph.D., the Minister of Research and Technology, the National Research and Innovation Agency. Maybe will come and join us later on. And also our brother from Allama Iqbal Open University, Brother Dr. Zahid Majeed. As we know that Allama Iqbal Open University has been regarded as the oldest distance higher education in Asia with large student body. So welcome. Assalamualaikum Dr. Zahid Majeed. Okay, and also our second sumber is our friends, our distant education scholar, Associate Professor Bapak Aminudin Zuhairi
from Universitas Terbuka. Assalamualaikum, Brother Amin.
Waalaikumsalam. Pleased to see you all, Pak Rector, and all ladies and gentlemen attending this forum.
Yep. And also our lovely moderator, Bapak Associate Professor Dr. Mohammad Yunus, Vice Rector for Academic Affairs. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Rector.
Also, I would like to convey my gratitude to all participants of Universitas Terbuka. This is I am very happy having you to participation in this webinar in this KSF, and of course this is a great pleasure and privilege to welcome you all from Indonesia and different countries that are participant, as mentioned by our moderator, having attendance in this knowledge sharing forum with the topic quality assurance innovation in technology-based education post COVID-19 outbreak. So attendance, the COVID-19 pandemic has opportune people in different sides, including in educations. Thus, learning in the era of new normal is carried out by learning from home, as we know. So this is not only in distant higher education, but also in conventional universities. Our friends from conventional universities, such as like in Indonesia, UGM, ITB, and etc., all conventional universities has been forced to deliver the learning pedagogy using distant learning mode, and it is strategic alternative choice for different institutions in educations, since face-to-face session, it is impossible to be implemented because we are in COVID-19 outbreak. So this phenomenon is therefore strengthens UT identity, is the leader of distant higher education institution in Indonesia. Because since UT established in 36 years ago, UT has been implemented distant learning system utilizing advancement of technology, information ecosystem technology. So it means that UT is one step ahead in practicing conducting online learning atau online pedagogy. Different types of learning aids services have been provided to reach the unreached students. UT has the competitive advantage to reach the unreached people who domicile in remote areas, as Indonesia consists of 17,000 who are scattered all of corner of the country, even abroad, that cannot be served by conventional methods. So all these services are provided to suit the need and style of UT students, millennial generations, as online tutorial, webinar tutorial, UT TV, and UT radio. Likewise, to measure student competency achievement, UT also practicing
Bapak, pangapunten, ini yang Pak Zahid.
Okay. Also practicing online exam and online proctoring. Online proctoring exam. Online proctoring exam has been regarded as a breakthrough. How they can deliver online exam for people who staying in their home and or their office, as long as they have access to the internet. So the COVID-19 pandemic has been blessing and disguise for UT. UT has become a benchmark for other universities in managing online learning program, and various collaboration with other universities has been performed by UT. Almost all state university in Indonesia has MOU with UT, and also we are provide such as like learning management system for other university, And of course, this will certainly further strengthen UT as the in the society, especially in higher education landscape. So, ladies and gentlemen, attendants, with the immense experience and expertise assembled here today, I'm very confident that this webinar, this KSF, will facilitate us a very constructive exchange of knowledge. And I wish you most fruitful day with interesting and productive discussion. So thank you very much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Ojat, for welcoming speech. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue our session to the next session. As I mentioned before, that the 11th Knowledge Sharing Forum today topic is Quality Assurance Innovation for Technology-Based Education was COVID-19. Then for the session, we'll present the ideas sharing for us is Dr. Amin Zuhairi. Halo Pak Amin, Pak Aminudin Zuhairi. Hello, Pak Amin. Please, thank you very much for your coming and join and sharing to us about your ideas and experience. Before you deliver your ideas, permit me to read briefly your CV. Dr. Aminudin Zuhairi, Ph.D. is an associate professor in open and distance learning, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Terbuka. He has served as a Vice Rector for Information System and Student Affairs of Universitas Terbuka for 2 periods, from 2011 till 2019. He also ever served as head of Institute of Learning Material Development, Examination and Information System. And he had many experiences in quality assurance, especially when he served as head of Center Quality Assurance and chair of Quality Assurance Committee. Mr. Aminudin Zuhairi got his graduate certificate in Quality Assurance for Higher Education at University of Twente, Netherlands. He did his Ph.D. in Administrative Higher and Adult Education Studies at the University of New England, Australia. And he had his Master Education program at Simon Fraser University, Canada. Mr. Aminudin Zuhairi also involved in many fellowships, such as AOU Fellow in the Open University of Sri Lanka, National Open University Taiwan, and University of Philippines Open Universities. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Aminudin Zuhairi, please welcome. Pak Amin, you have time to present your ideas and experiences, about 25 minutes. Please welcome Pak Aminudin.
Thank you, Pak Yunus. Excellency, Minister of Research and Technology, Pak Rector, colleagues from all over the world attending this session. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to share with you some of the ideas and maybe some of my personal experience as well, working on various aspects of quality assurance of open and distance learning. Well, actually, I'm supposed we would like to hear views from Dr. Zahid Majeed from Allama Iqbal Open University in Pakistan, but Dr. Majeed will follow later, so it's a bit unlucky for me to be the first speaker, but by the way, I will try to my best to make this presentation to all of you. As requested by the UT, my presentation will be about QA innovation for ODL and technology-based education post-COVID-19. we will be talking about a bit historical foundations of ODL and technology-based education. We will learn about quality and QA implementation in ODL, and about open universities and MOOCs, recent development in MOOCs, and then also about ODL and QA challenges, and particularly the challenges of ODL and QA in ODL in post-COVID-19, and then some ideas on what actions to take in post-COVID-19. Things are changing very fast, and we need to address these issues very carefully and seriously as well. We would like to share with you, this is some milestones. I don't have to write every milestone here. It will be very long. But if we can remember, back in 1858, it's often considered as the first external program. It used to be called external program, which has now become an ODL and now even online program at the University of London. It took more than 100 years for the external program to evolve to become a full-fledged open university, which is in 1969. It is the first open university in the world based on a multimedia education. Then it's followed by, as Rector mentioned, the first open university in Asia. That is the Allama Iqbal Open University, founded 5 years after the UKOU. And then we follow 10 years later, since Allama Iqbal, this is our university, Universitas Terbuka, was established in 1984. So we've been running for about more than 30 years, 35 years. This is just an observation, my observation. It has taken a long time. It took a long time. It did take a long time for the literature on open distance learning to develop. The first literature on distance education was written by Keegan only in 1986, more than 100 years after the foundation of the external degree program. And almost 30 years since the foundation of the first open university in the UK back in 1969. But then things changed very fast. So in less than 10 years, there is new changes. The theory and practice of online learning is from distance now to online. And now we are living in a digital age. And then in 10 years, less than 10 years, there is a new body of knowledge teaching in digital age by Bates. And then we have the disruption on COVID-19. And of course, it has implication on the way we operate, the higher education system, and of course, the open and distance learning system worldwide, in Indonesia, of course, in Pakistan as well. I'd like to share some of the values and philosophies and principles and the cultures of ODL. Well, actually, ODL has been founded based on these quality values right from the beginning. We put quality as a priority because of the, I would say, ODL, OU began with lots of controversies. Many people don't believe it. That is why we have to do things very carefully. The values of ODL, open universities, is based on the values of openness, access, equality, flexibility, to make sure that we produce high quality graduates of ODL and technology-based system that will satisfy, and actually that will exceed the expectations of stakeholders and students worldwide. Then it seems that we need to renew some theoretical foundations. When the ODL system was first founded, it was based on the foundations of autonomy and independence. It remains like that. Interaction and communication. Well, educational process always involves interaction and communication. And this is the one that is unique in our distance learning. That is the industrialization of teaching and learning, in a sense that there are industrial management processes involved when we run an open and distant learning system. And things change now. We're now talking about online and digital learning platforms. We are going online, we're going digital, and we have enriched our ODL system with technology-based learning, just like any other higher education system, including the conventional or face-to-face higher education system. Then we're now moving into even further in the post-COVID-19, the landscape should be different. Not only maybe, I think it's highly likely to be very much different, because now higher education institutions worldwide, in Indonesia, in Pakistan, elsewhere, are moving online. They become more open, and they try to attempt the personalized learning environment based on the needs of the students. This is the basic ODL business process: registration, learning materials, learning support, exam, then the graduate, students graduate with degrees or diplomas. And in every steps, every business process, there is always quality assurance in each of the process. So once the student registers, we have to provide the student with learning materials, the appropriate one, digital or printed, non-printed, multimedia, now enriched with OER, and so on. And then we provide the necessary learning support, whether through face-to-face mode or online, or we call it tutorials, practicum, and then exam. It may be done on a paper-based exam, online exam, practicum, portfolio assessment, and so forth. Make sure they graduate with degrees and diploma, high quality. And then we would like to, again, some history from open to distant to technology-based learning system. When we talk about learning by correspondence, back in the 18th century, visual media, we have and then in the 1990s, we have something different. We call it new technology introduced in education, even in open and distant learning. This includes things like learning objects. These terms just began starting in the 1990s. The OER, Open Educational Resources, blog, LMS, Learning Management System. We have e-portfolios, connectivism that come out with MOOCs less than 10 years. MOOCs is only less than 10 years compared to Open University that has been running for over 50 years. New term called learning analytics. How we can help learners to learn through the analytics because of the big data, the IT, development in ITs. Then more recent as well, digital badges and blockchain. And we have, these are the progress, the historical progress from correspondence, audiovisual media broadcast, open universities, more enhanced technology-based learning. And then now we have the technology-based learning post-COVID. This is going to be our future that we will, I think, nobody knows exactly, but we are aware of it, and we will go for it, of course, because this is our future anyway. When we look at the open universities, well, I look at some information on the web, and it says there are now more than 65 open universities worldwide. But and open universities alone enroll more than 16 million students. That's a lot of number, with the largest numbers, of course, in Asia, followed by Africa and Europe. And this particular mode of open university learning, so students now have access to online learning through open universities, through MOOCs, through face-to-face open universities offering books, and other online learning providers. These are actually the challenge, because now it's not only the open universities who are running online courses, but also the traditional universities. Let us look at the data. And books. In 2019 alone, up to 2019, there are more than 100 million students. This is a greater number of MOOC students than OU students. As said earlier, it's only 16. So the things change very fast. And now, almost 1,000 now, 900 plus universities are now involved in MOOCs. That means a greater number of MOOCs providers than the open universities alone. And these numbers are growing even greater and faster. So as the statistics say, there are 13,000 courses offered on MOOCs, 820 micro-credential, and 50 MOOC-based degrees. So now people can sign up for the MOOCs and graduate with full degrees, fully on MOOCs. These are some of the developments. So I look at the, we study the report of the ICDE, the International Council for Open and Distance Education, produce a report on the specific challenge of ODL. That is the scalability. Delivery is at scale, and now is we are challenged by the managing transition to new technology and demand for rapid response to inquiries. That is things that we are challenged by open universities as well as other universities offering ODL on online programs. But now we find that, according to the report, now higher education institutions are more open. It is open, it offers distance program, it's flexible in online education. It's open in terms of location, time of study, entry qualification, and we have more initiation of OER, the Open Educational Resources, Open Educational Practice, and the MOOCs. Now, as said earlier, hundreds of universities now offering
Pak Amin
of MOOCs. Yes? Yes, Pak Yunus?
Pak Amin, Pak Menteri have welcome.
Please.
Could you interrupt for a moment, please,
Yes, please,
to give chance to Pak Menteri. Thank you, Pak Amin.
Please, Pak.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Minister of Research and Technology of Republic of Indonesia have come, and Prof. Bambang Brodjonegoro, Ph.D., welcome. And thank you for joining to us with KSF Knowledge Sharing Forum. And Prof. Bambang Brodjonegoro, Ph.D., Minister of Research and Technology, thank you.
Yunus, you have an opportunity to speak to Prof. Bambang before Prof. Bambang deliver their sermon.
Hello,
Yeah.
Prof. Bambang Brodjonegoro, please welcome and join with us to share your insight for all participants of knowledge sharing forum. Please, Prof.
Okay, sorry. Previously, I haven't heard anything, so I thought the event is still in progress. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all of you, Pak Rector and distinguished speakers, as well as distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation to share our thoughts in this important webinar. So, to simplify my presentation, let me share the screen if possible. Yeah. Yeah, page 7, halaman 7. Yeah, I would like to start the discussion. Of course, I understand about the importance of online education or distance learning in the case of Open University or Universitas Terbuka. But this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, actually is a moment in which we need to speed up our digital transformation. Since we will be limited or restricted by COVID-19 health protocol, of course, we cannot do everything as what we did in the past, the normal way. So it means we have to apply the new normal. World Economic Forum just renamed the new normal into the Great Reset. It means that we need to prepare for our new pattern of life in the future, in the near future. And one characteristic of our new life pattern will be less contact economy. Why less contact economy? Because at the end of the day, economy is very important. And as we can witness on the first 2 quarters of this year, majority of the countries in the world experience negative economic growth, meaning that COVID-19 really affects their economic performance. However, we have to live with COVID-19. And at the same time, we need to revitalize the economy. And one way to revitalize the economy is by applying less contact economy, in which the hyperconnectivity between people or among people that we used to do in the normal situation has to be replaced or substituted by information and communication technology. So instead, we meet face-to-face or we have actual or physical meeting, then we need to have the meeting, we need to have the seminars, not by face-to-face or by physical context, but through ICT. So it means we need to really promote this kind of online activities in which the adoption to the ICT will be very critical, or adoption to the digital transformation will be very critical. During the pandemic, we can witness that both e-commerce and logistics have been growing very fast. Majority, for example, of e-commerce reported that their sales increased by at least 20%. So it's a good sign that people started to adjust themselves into less contact economy rather than the normal or conventional economy. Let's move to page 9. So, of course, when we have to realize that we have to live different way with the less contact economy, then of course we need to change our mindset. So for example, we need to improve our data literacy. We need to understand more about the data, especially now big data is becoming more critical compared to the conventional statistical data. And then of course technology literacy. We understand that not all the Indonesians are aware about the importance of digital transformation, about the importance of ICT. But the fact that the penetration of cell phone is very high, even the number of internet users in Indonesia is relatively high, meaning that people in Indonesia, Indonesian people are generally prepared, well prepared for understanding better about the technology. And of course, human literacy and lifelong learner becomes very critical. And especially with the concept of Universitas Terbuka, Open University, then lifelong learner is essential now in Indonesia. So we become student not only when we are in our age of middle school or higher education, but also during our lifetime. And the concept of Open University with the online education fits with the ideas. And of course, we need to change our characters by enhancing more collaboration, increase the capacity of critical thinking, be more creative, be more communicative, and then have the orientation of computational thinking, as well as having the compassion. So this is what we call the new literacy and the new characters related to the digital transformation as well as Industrial Revolution 4.0. So in order to pursue our digital transformation process on the next page, we need faster math adoption. And of course, halaman berikut. Yeah, next page. Yeah. So faster mass adoption, I think now become, very much faster because we are in pandemic. And in fact, before the pandemic, we already in the process of digital transformation, maybe still a little bit slow, but now we have to move much faster because then we need to adjust ourselves until the situation becomes back to normal as if the pandemic is gone. But we know very well the pandemic could be very long. The discovery of vaccine will take some time, not only in the proof of the vaccine itself, but also we are talking about production, we are talking about the vaccination, mass vaccination that will take quite a long time. And then we have to have the understanding, common understanding that ICT has become a global trend, meaning that ICT is no longer an option. ICT now becomes a necessity. And every other part in the world already transformed themselves into the digital economy. We can see in the US, there are more and more retail establishment, the conventional retail establishment that has been out of business. They have been closing the stores, some of them shifting to online, some of them they are gone forever. Why it happens while their retail used to be very strong? Simply because they are late in adapting with the new pattern of business using the ICT. So of course, government needs to put support because this is not just market-driven activities, but government needs to lead in terms of digital transformation. Because at the end of the day, the digital infrastructure, digital regulation, of course, have to be carried out by the government. So let's see what government is going to do in the next 5 years. Of course, broadband expansion, because although, broadband has been enjoyed by majority of the Indonesian people, but still relatively in the low frequency or low quality, as well as it hasn't reached the last mile. It hasn't reached every household in the nation. And then we need to improve the infrastructure of e-government, because at the end of the day, we have to make sure all types of government services needs to be delivered through the online platform. And then we need to utilize the infrastructure for some critical sectors, some critical activities, especially in this case, we are talking about education. Of course, there will be debate whether offline education is better than online or the other way around. But we don't need to discuss too much or in detail about that, because if we look at the, let's say, universities in the US, even the well-known universities, now they are developing their online courses, and their online courses now becomes the reference for many university students around the world, not only in their respective countries. It means education becomes like global goods, global public goods, and of course, it can only be delivered by the online platform. And then, of course, from the supply side, we need to improve or strengthen the digital human resources, especially digital talent, and then strengthening the industry. I think Indonesia is a big economy dollar. So it's very logical if our ICT industry, especially our gadget industry, needs to be developed. I just learned yesterday that we have the capacity, for example, to produce computer tablet as well as producing the smartphone. The question is our advancement in technology. That's why we are still now becomes the we still now becomes the market rather than the producer side. And of course, every producers will look at Indonesia, you know, as a very big market, and that's why they don't want the local industry to develop their own capacity in making either a computer tablet or smartphone or any other gadgets. And of course, we need to improve our technology adoption by utilizing more big data. I think big data will become the kind of the gold mine in the future. Whoever, you know, has the access or has the, you know, ownership of big data will be the rich one, will be the wealthiest one, because data becoming more and more valuable, as well as the IoT, because now everything, when we are talking about artificial intelligence and others, we are talking about digital life, then IoT has to be there to prepare for our transformation. So in 2025, we want the creative and digital economy as a source of growth. 10 years later, creative and digital economy as drivers of innovation-based economy. This is our goal, innovation-based economy. And by 2045, hopefully, Indonesia will be one of the centers of world-class creative and digital economy. So let's move to page 14. Now we are talking about, of course, the Universitas Terbuka, the Open University, in which we want to strengthen skill and technology capabilities to increase our human resource productivity and innovation. As we know, Indonesia is a big country, and we are now experiencing demographic bonus. Of course, we need to improve our education, but at the same time, we have the challenge to educate so many students. And so many, and of course, growing number of students with, of course, more critical, with the way of critical thinking. So we need technology-based mass education. Of course, the conventional education will still be very much important, but technology-based has to be there, at least to complement or to become an alternative of conventional mass education. And then we need to do more HR investment that has impact of increasing productivity through innovation. So of course, we hope that Universitas Terbuka can deliver their curriculum in which the students or the participants will have the aspiration to be innovator in the future. And then we need also to utilize the economic opportunities through global connectivities. So we understand about the globalization, so-called there is no border in economic activities. Now, with the digital economy, it becomes even more borderless, or we can say no border. Why? Because with the online, with all the internet connection, we can get everything that's available on the Earth surface, you know, because we can access so many things. Of course, education will have the advantage of, will take the advantage of that situation, in which our education, especially delivered by Open University, should prepare the students to be part of the global economic activity. And of course, the university itself needs to innovate by strengthening education system and technological innovation. I remember when UT was first established, I think during Suharto era, it becomes, you know, an alternative for at that time people who are not able to attend the universities because of, you know, many reasons, but UT provides the opportunity. And at the time, I remember, because the online education is not yet available, was not yet available, so UT used the module, you know, the participants or the students, you know, got the modules, got the books, they learn, and then they attend the tutorial, and they have to do the exam in order to graduate. Of course, things have been different, and now you can employ 100% online education, and of course we are quite sure that with 100% online education, the quality of Open University and especially the students will be very much improved. So what kind of innovation for distance education? Of course, artificial intelligence for intelligent learning will be the key of the innovation in distance education. Of course, you know, there is a lecture delivered by, you know, the professors, you know, could be through video conference, could be through any other way of online education. But I think in the near future, to anticipate more, better education, and to interact, to create a better interaction, you know, artificial interaction between students and instructors or lecturers, then I believe artificial intelligence will be the key by improving improving the effectiveness and efficiency of Universitas Terbuka business process, increase the quantity and quality of educated human resources, as well as increasing participation for human resource development and Indonesia's economic development. But for sure, we need to now implement artificial intelligence for Universitas Terbuka. And just for information, last Monday during Hari Kebangkitan Teknologi Nasional, we just launched the national strategy for artificial intelligence, in which education is one of the priority, including, of course, online education. And then distance education is very dependent on the strength of quality assurance. What kind of quality assurance? Of course, on the next page, depends on the business process of the education itself. And we need to also to make sure the quality of lecturers. We want to see how students react to the delivery of the online education by UT. And we need to look the profile of graduates and alumni, as well as the impacts on them. And then, of course, we would like to see their academic products during and after their study at Open University. And of course, with the involvement of the better technology in online education, including later we can apply the artificial intelligence, we hope that there will be more researchers and innovators generated by the online education system developed by Universitas Terbuka. So the alumni of Universitas Terbuka is not just the people who work at professional, but we expect some of the graduates will be very good researchers as well as potential innovators. And at the same time, as I mentioned before, we need to accelerate this digital transformation by applying the less contact economy. On the next page, we can see that we have to live with COVID-19, and at the same time, we are facing the globalization of education even before the COVID-19. And as I mentioned, the well-known universities, very established universities in US, in Europe, they already produce online courses and becoming reference for any students in the world. And then lifelong learning still has to be there, and we need this lifelong learning even better than before, even more than before. Why? Because now with the pandemic, everybody needs to be more flexible, everybody needs to be agile. And in order to be agile, you need lifelong learning. And this is the role, very important role of Universitas Terbuka. But to deliver, more intensive online courses, you need to have changing pedagogy. People need to learn differently. You cannot just simply, especially in the case of conventional universities, regular universities, with the offline classes. Now with the online classes, they cannot simply just replicate what you have done in offline classes to the online classes. You need to change the pedagogy because people will learn differently, not by face-to-face, but through the online. So we need to really prepare the online courses as good as possible so the students will feel no difference between offline and online. So far, at least from my colleagues in universities, they are still complaining. Some of them complaining as the parents of the students, some of them complaining as the professors. They are complaining that the online courses now hasn't delivered the result quite close similar to the offline. While the ideal one, we need to really make sure that the online will be very close to the quality of the offline classes. So this is still the challenges. Of course, the ICT will be important, but more importantly, the pedagogy itself. And then Universitas Terbuka needs to continue the innovation on the next page, because you are now not only in the Great Reset or New Normal, but you are already in the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So there are many things you need to do in order to improve the quality of higher education. First, the university must be able to provide education and research program in order to produce holistic graduates in the context of its relationship with various environmental, economic, and social aspects of society. So again, education, of course, is the most important thing, but you still remember the Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi, in which research is one of them, aside from community engagement. So in the research program, with the sophistication of online education and sophistication of the digital activity itself, I think you can introduce more research to your student. And then you need to promote the triple helix, synergy among academics, industry, and government, as well as to provide value of services for students and other university who wish to be online or to remote. Actually, the regular universities or the universities that doing the courses offline needs to learn more from UT in order to carry out now their so-called forced online courses. Of course, it's forced because they are not accustomed to the online courses, but they have to. So the help or the assistance from Universitas Terbuka will be helpful, especially if you are touching the pedagogic issue. I think my colleagues in universities still struggling to change their pedagogy style in the online courses. And then, of course, you need to improve the micro-credential, like a competency-based digital form of certification. So it's good to support the vocational, the importance of vocational education in our economy, because Indonesia really needs more vocational graduates, especially vocational graduates in the field that related to digital transformation. So instead of just doing the innovation from digital point of view, you can also improve the quality of the digital talent itself. So at the last page, we understand about the distance education, distance learning. I remember even in 2010, when I was at Islamic Development Bank in Jeddah, at that time, as Director General, I developed, together with the team, the distance learning of Islamic finance. I remember at the time, the challenges, very tough challenges, just to set up a semester courses of Islamic finance through distance learning, because we are not familiar with the technology, and we are not sure about quality assurance, and we are not even sure about who can deliver the material itself, because some professors a bit reluctant to just deliver the courses online. But now it becomes the mainstream. So this is very important thing. It's no longer an alternative. Now it becomes the mainstream. And you can do it through, of course, correspondence, multimedia, or like what we are doing now, the ICT base. And Universitas Terbuka still the only single mode distance education, higher education in Indonesia. And again, you need to be the reference for other universities that are now forced to do the online courses. And you need also to guide them, to assist them in the pedagogic side of the universities process. Why? Because again, I myself a professor, but as a professor, I've never been, I've never been in any courses related to the pedagogy. Of course, we learn the pedagogy by ourselves, but we only understand the pedagogy for the offline. But pedagogy for online is something that UT, or Open University, needs to be in charge. And you need to convey, disseminate all the pedagogic, online pedagogy style to your colleagues in other universities. So at the end, accreditation is not the only structure limiting innovation at colleges and universities, okay? Because accreditation is basically, of course, administrative procedures, and accreditation practices are embedded and shaped by complex architecture of regulation that systemize innovation, and accreditation system should be developed that's supportive of innovation and limits bad actors through a focus on outcomes. And at the end, the input-driven design of accreditation prioritizes keeping process and structure fixed, ostensibly as a signal of professional quality. So I hope, as a professor, as a minister, we hope that Universitas Terbuka can provide a solution, can provide a breakthrough and guidance for all colleagues in other universities in order to deliver the online system, online education in a better shape. And of course, you need to introduce how the online higher education can become the mainstream instead of just an emergency situation like this COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Pak Menristek, Prof. Bambang Brodjonegoro, for sharing your valuable ideas as a keynote speech. And from your speech, I concluded world is changing, have been changing, everything have been changing, economy, education, and instruction have been changing too. This emerge a big challenge for us. So, Minister expected to create the solution and brief to this condition for the better future in education, especially about online learning. Well, with your permission, before leave this KSF forum, Pak Menteri, I ask permission to please Prof. Ojat, Rector UT, to convey viewers. Please, Prof. Ojat.
Okay, thank you, Pak Yunus. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Alhamdulillah, it is very lucky for UT. Finally, we have our Excellency and our respected Minister, Prof. Bambang Brodjonegoro, Ph.D., the Minister of Research, Technology, National Research and Innovation Agency, the Republic of Indonesia. So thank you for your kind support, accepting our invitation to come to this knowledge sharing forum, or we call it KSF. And this forum has been dedicated, Prof. Bambang, as part of OT contribution for Hakteknas, Hari Kebangkitan Teknologi Nasional Program, concerning quality assurance innovation in distant higher education. So this forum has also been regarded as part of UT Dies Natalis package, because in next month, in September 2020, we will have celebrate our Dies Natalis for 36 years old. So again, thank you, Prof. Bambang, for your presence and sharing invaluable insight dealing with the development and digital technology. Thank you, Prof. Bambang.
Thank you, Pak Rector.
Prof. Bambang, terima kasih. Thank you very much for your coming and sharing your ideas with us. And we wish that you and your minister can make something that more amazing to improve the Indonesian next. Thank you, Prof. Bambang, Minister of Research and Technology.
Ya, sama-sama. Ya.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we continue our discussion, our sharing with Pak Aminudin Zuhairi and also Mr. Zahid Majeed. And Mr. Aminudin Zuhairi will continue. Sorry, Pak Amin, for interrupting your presentation. And now you can continue the presentation. You have time about 10 minutes to continue. Thank you. Please, Pak Aminudin.
Thank you, Pak Yunus. Give me time. I want to make sure here. Okay, right. Okay. Thank you. That's wonderful insight from Minister of Research and Technology that we will have to follow. All of us working in distant education. Now, this is I have about 10 minutes, but I'll try to make it a bit faster because time is 11:07 already. So these are some of the challenges that found out by ICDE. We may look at ODR in terms of scalability, openness, individualizations, because now learners are very individual in the sense that they have specific needs that are different from one another. And there is also an unbundling rise of non-traditional providers. Now traditional universities now going online. The industries are also offering online programs. This is just a new paradigm. So we have separation of various aspects of education, resources, teaching, assessment. So it's about business model and new category of providers that we will look at into the development of the future ODL. And this is about quality. Where going to fit? I think now it's more on a transformative. It is up to us as institution, as stakeholders, as students. We can view quality from different perspectives here: exceptional, perfection, consistency, fitness for purpose, value for money, also for transformation. We need to transform, as the ministers said, from the traditional to become online, because the world is changing very fast now. Technology is now available for various kinds of things, services, including the educational sector. This is again, when we talk about ICT quality standard models, we can look at quality in terms of services, products, and management. In terms of services, we can look at from the staff and student perspectives. And then in terms of product, we look at the curriculum design, course design, delivery. And then in terms of management, we look at from the points of view of strategic planning and the development. MOOCs is a new trend, but there are also guidelines on MOOCs, quality dimensions and measures, in which MOOCs need to be looked at the passage or preparation stage, and then the process stage, and then the product stage. And then these need to meet the quality requirements, of course. These are some of our reference. If we work at the Open University, we have the Asian Association Open Universities Quality Assurance Frameworks, which has been running for, I think, 20 years now. These are the dimensions, and each of which there is standard subcomponents and statement of best practice on what an open learning, distant learning, and online learning need to be carried out. If we specifically go to a QA for e-learning or online learning, we may refer to the ENQA, the European National Quality Assurance Agency in Europe. And these are the dimensions: policy for QA design and approval programs, down to the cyclical external quality assurance. And in every dimension here, there is standard to follow, elements to consider, and indicators to look at and then implement. The quality challenge for post-COVID-19. Yeah, I said earlier, quality is up to us, up to the stakeholders, up to the different kind of different things, because it may mean different things to different people. But it may also be culture context, and we have quality issues assessment for accountability, credibility, and feasibility. And now we have a new function of quality as being able to transform itself in times of crisis. Quality, we may see it as ability to address disruptions, such as COVID-19. How are we going to address those issues? And quality remains highly important to respond to this kind of disruptions. We'll look at the recent publication in Indonesia by Ibu Tian Belawati and Pak Nizam. Bu Tian is a professor and former rector of the university, and Pak Nizam is now the Director General of Higher Education. There are higher education challenges during COVID-19 era. And according to this report by Belawati and Nizam, 98% of higher education institutions in Indonesia, just within a month, they transformed themselves to be an online provider. That is fantastic. But that also raises issues and challenges in terms of quality. How do we assure the quality of the online courses and programs offered by the campus-based universities, when they have to suddenly change themselves from face-to-face to online.
Okay.
In fact, the minister acknowledged that it's hard. He said he was not familiar with online pedagogy, which is certainly different from the face-to-face pedagogy. We need to look at these perspectives in terms of digital literacy, pedagogy, learning interaction, digital learning materials, the use of technology itself, and of course the assessment of learning, which is of course different from the
Excuse me, Pak Amin.
Yes, Pak.
Thanks. 1 minute.
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the guidelines for ensuring quality. I can put it in the references. And another quality scorecard that may be useful, you can download from the internet. It's an example of the scorecard. And then higher education in post-COVID. Higher education will move into 3 different groups. They can be a fully online model, they can be hybrid, or augmented immersive residential. Residential is the important, but now they have choices. And then this is QA outlook in ODL. We have different framework, different approaches. We have to make sure that we are able to adapt to disruption. Further guidelines that can look at and can be downloaded from the UNESCO and then the World Bank and the International Association of Universities and so forth. And this is UT now. If you look at UT, we have been the leader in the online learning since the beginning. And then we have COVID-19. And then we have to make sure that quality is a shared responsibility and continuous improvement effort. Guidelines for higher education, QA guidelines for higher education in Indonesia. It's more focused on academic education, vocational education, professional education, distance education. I think one more need to be added. One more is needed to be added in this guideline. That is guideline for QA for online education. I think the ministry should be doing this very soon. And then this is action taken by UT in terms of academic, administrative, and quality audit. We also have to transform those face-to-face components of the services, academic and administrative, to become online. And then this is what we expect from the government, quality issues and challenges. I think we need policies to adapt to post-COVID, invest in infrastructure and facilities, and new technology, because it is technology is definitely needed for online and mediated learning. And then for the institution as well, we need to shift from face. And then learners also, they have to change their mindset. For staff and teachers, they have to change mindset, shifting from the traditional learning and teaching to be more online and mediated learning and teaching. I think these are the references that may be followed up by us and as references. Thank you, Pak Yunus, ladies and gentlemen. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Aminudin Zuhairi, for your presentation. And again, I apologize because the interruption to your presentation. I think many questions for you, but the question will be discussed after the second presentation by Dr. Zahid Majeed. We'll discuss together with you and also with Zahid Majeed. Thank you, Pak Amin. Hello, Dr. Zahid Majeed. Welcome to KSF.
Dr. Yunus, good morning.
Morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Morning, Dr.
Ladies and gentlemen, the session will be continued by a presentation of our guest speaker, Dr. Zahid Majeed from Allama Iqbal Open University, Pakistan. But before presentation, please allow me to read briefly about the CV of Dr. Zahid Majeed. Dr. Zahid Majeed is currently having 3 responsibilities as a Director Academic Planning and Cost Production, Director International Collaboration and Exchange Office, and Assistant Professor in Special Education at Allama Iqbal Open University, Islamabad. He has about 80 years experience of open and distance learning. Dr. Zahid did his Ph.D. in metacognition and reading comprehension, Master Science or Philosophies in Inclusive Education from Holland, Czech Republic, and United Kingdom, Master Science and Environmental Science, Master of Arts Education Planning and Management, and Special Education. His areas of interest are pre-service and in-service teacher trainings, curriculum development, e-learning, open and distance learning, pedagogy and andragogy and micro-teaching. And Dr. Zahid is engaged with a number of national and international organizations like HSC, UNESCO, UNICEF, British Council, Commonwealth of Learning, SIMSE, Association of Open Universities, Afghanistan Ministry of Education, Swedish Council of Inclusive Education, and many others. And now, Dr. Zahid Majeed, please welcome and to deliver your presentation. Your presentation about 20 minutes, and we'll continue with a discussion to discuss the question from other participants. Thank you. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone. Thank you, Dr. Yunus. Thank you, Professor Ojat Darojat. I'm thankful to giving me opportunity to share my experience and knowledge that we have in COVID-19. I was listening and watching the two presentations, one by the Minister of Research and Technology and for RI, and definitely my friend and my brother Aminudin Zuhairi, having a lot of experience in quality assurance. So let me share what I have to discuss with all of you. I'm interested to share my presentation. I hope that you can see it. Dr. Yunus, can you confirm that you can share see my presentation slides?
I think
yes,
yeah. Screen share, we do it.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for confirming. Topic is the topic that you have for this knowledge sharing forum. So I was just listening the Professor Zuhairi as well as His Excellency Minister for Research and Technology about the current and post COVID-19. A lot of things have been done by the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Research and Technology, Indonesia. The situation and the threat and issues and challenges he shared is almost the same that we also in Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, we are facing too. Yes, more than 90% of the education institution, as Professor Aminudin Zuhairi just mentioned, the reference of Professor Bilawati, the same situation in Pakistan also, that all the former universities, colleges, schools converted to online education. But unfortunately, they were not oriented, they were not digital literate, they were not trained, and they were not capable to do the online teaching. And they look at Allama Iqbal Open University for the support and help. And Allama Iqbal Open University definitely provide the support and help to the Ministry of Education and colleges, universities, schools, and other organizations. So this was the big opportunity for all the open universities in the world to recognize their importance and value, how they can work together. And this is not the end after this COVID-19 pandemic situation. Now the realization is there, and everyone is realized that this open and distance learning, online learning is the ultimate solution. And the resolution of all these situation in future too. So the government of Pakistan is also very much serious about the open and distance learning. Let me share. I have my presentation from different sources, and definitely I will acknowledge all these. This is the situation when we have the COVID-19 in all over the world. More than 1.2 billion institutions closed because of this pandemic situation. And everyone was worried about this situation. The Ministry of Education was worried about how we can meet and how we can bridge this gap and how we connect our students to the education or teaching learning process. So this was the situation, and we also know that Asia is the most populous in point of the population, having lot of ICT opportunities too. So I have quoted this data about 2017 from the World Bank data, and you can see the internet users per 100 inhabitants. It is with the mobile, with the device, desktop, laptop, other devices and gadgets. But if you go to the mobile subscriptions per 100 inhabitants, it is increased a lot. And in 2020, the data is far away from this graph. In Pakistan is I think the 5th or 6th largest internet user country, and also the mobile subscription or smart mobile phone users in the world. In COVID-19, the situation of educational institution and how they responded to the COVID. Bangladesh having TV and radio as an option in the COVID-19. Brunei Darul Islam, they have the English language application somehow is online education. India having 32 digital TV channels. So they use the television as a medium for the education and teaching learning process. Maldives use the Google Classrooms. Definitely the other countries also use the Google Classrooms or Classroom Mate or Google Zoom and other options. Malaysia having online learning and web TV. Pakistan also having the web educational television channel. That was the initiative of Federal Ministry of Education in collaboration with the Allama Iqbal Open University, because the Allama Iqbal Open University having the expertise of this online education as well as television and radio education. Singapore having online learning portal, and Sri Lanka also use internet access without data charges. So this was the situation in our regional hub. But if we look at the Indonesia, and definitely the last presentation given by the Minister of Research and Technology, that was giving more clear picture how the Indonesia meet this challenge. So I just quoted the Minister of Education and Culture, his speech at the presidential forum, that they have different options and they have different initiatives, taken steps in the COVID-19. And he said we adjusted school exams. He said implementation of distance learning, definitely with the help of Universitas of Terbuka. Online approach to the process of students registration, so online admission and online registration, flexible use of school operational and educational assistance and educational operational assistance. So this is the quote that I have from the Ministry of Education Indonesia. And he said, we encourage teachers not to complete all the materials in the curriculum. It is at most importance that students are still involved in relevant learning, such as life skills, health, education, and empathy. So this was the focus of Indonesia Ministry of Education in COVID-19 situation. What we have experienced, the issues and challenges just mentioned by Dr. Zuhairi also, that it's almost the same, the connectivity, cost, electricity, access to the online platform, quality content, and capacity of the teacher. Yes, definitely the same situation we face in Pakistan, as said by the Minister of Research and Technology, that more than 90% universities, colleges, schools, they converted and they shifted online education, but unfortunately they were not oriented. Unfortunately, they were not capable to do this thing, and that's why we have a lot of complaints and issues and challenges quoted by the students and the teachers of the institutions, that this is not the solution. Yes, definitely, as an open distance learning student, myself, I can say this is the solution, but because they were not oriented, they were not capable, they said this is not the solution. But now they realize they have much experience, they have capabilities, and they are doing the things online. Yes, this is the solution to reach each and every person and each and every corner of our country, especially with Indonesia, with the thousands of islands, and we cannot go formal schooling or education in all thousands of islands, and as well as in Pakistan, that we have far-flung areas where the rest of the formal education is not possible. This is possible with different sources, with different mediums and mode of instructions and teaching and learning process. The one is the online education, but the last slides having the challenges and issues, so we can use different mode like television, radio, definitely hybrid or blended learning also. So my topic of sharing my experience with you people is quality assurance innovation for technology-based education. When we say the technology-based education, definitely we having teaching and learning process with the help of the technology. And technology is not limited to the internet and computer. This is beyond these two medium of and technology tools. So we use different tools for having teaching learning process successful. And this is happening all over the world. This is happening in Pakistan. This is happening in the developing countries and developed countries. So what we said, that if we integrate of instructional technology into the learning environment of school, colleges, and university, we say that is a technology-based education. And educational settings that apply advanced technology such as computer and the internet in the process of teaching learning process, we say that's a teaching technology-based education. This is the word that we heard in all the institutions, organizations, and industries of our world. Quality. This is matter with all the stakeholders. We are conscious about the quality of each and every product of our life. Yes, definitely it is matter with the education too. And when we concern with the open and distance learning, as compared to, as contrast to, as having competition, the formal system of education, where the people say and different stakeholders are claiming that they have the quality, and they're saying what is the quality of open distance learning, then this is a big question all over open distance learning institutions, that we should be very careful about open and distance learning, especially online learning in the digital age, about the quality. Quality is a very complicated and very complex word, because every institution, every organization, every country have different perception, standards, and options for quality assurance. We in Pakistan also having quality assurance matter, and quality assurance definitely with the accreditation councils and organizations that we have in our countries. But when we competing at the world, we definitely follow the standards and the parameters given by different accreditation and quality assurance councils, especially what we are having discussion about Asian Association of Open University, International Council for Distance Education, Commonwealth of Learning, and some other institutions and quality assurance agencies. So the quality assurance is matter with the open distance learning, blended, hybrid, fully online, offline. So we have to have the quality with the technology-based education too. As we have a discussion, Allama Iqbal Open University for last 46 years, we are doing mostly correspondence and traditional distance learning education. Now, for last 5 to 8 years, the university have a paradigm shift from traditional distance learning to the online and technology-based education. Alhamdulillah, Allama Iqbal Open University is a mega university with 1.4 million students, with a lot of faculty members, and with the support of more than 70,000 part-time tutors. And there is no problem of finance at the Allama Iqbal University. We never and ever asked the financial support from Government of Pakistan and other organizations. We are self-sufficient in the financial matter. So we equipped and we empowered our institution with technology especially for last 5 years. We have our own servers, we have computers, means internet, networking, whatever the technology and gadgets and tools are required for this technology-based education. Alhamdulillah, each and every faculty member and the regional offices are equipped with all these things. The matter is that the 1.4 million students, they have the digital divide. They don't know much about the online education. They are not having digital literacy, and the same situation with the tutors, part-time tutors that we hired to support our students at nearest their home. So in different forms, I said this pandemic, COVID-19 is a blessing for Allama Iqbal University. Might be this is blessing for other institutions, that we seriously shifted our whole system of open distance learning or of traditional distance learning onto technology-based education, online education. Definitely, the quality assurance parameters and quality assurance standards will be not the same that we having in the traditional distance learning. We contacted to the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, means the Ministry of Education, and they don't have any quality assurance standards for the open distance learning and online learning. We do have two open universities. One is the Virtual Open University Pakistan and the Allama Iqbal Open University Pakistan. So both universities asking to the Ministry of Education for the quality assurance standards for the online education or technology-based education, but unfortunately they don't have. So we connected to the AAOU, ICD, and Commonwealth of Learning, and we developed the quality assurance technology-based education quality assurance standards for our two universities. And definitely we provided these standards and policy to the Ministry of Education, that the other former universities, they are working and they shifted online learning and technology-based education, they can get benefit from this document. So teaching methods that successfully, that's the quality. What we mean quality in Pakistan, that we are more concerned with the teaching learning process. The teaching learning process should be successful with the student point of view and with the teacher point of view. So teaching method that successfully help learners to develop their knowledge and skills they want to require in this digital age. And what I said, in Pakistan, almost 8 or 9 out of 10 people having a mobile phone, and at least 6 people having smartphone. They can use this digital tool as for learning. And Allama Iqbal Open University students having more than 70% students having smartphones, and they're using mobile phone nowadays for the online education.
Excuse me, Zahid.
Yes, please.
Excuse me, your time still 3 minutes again. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay. I will try to complete it within 2 or 3 minutes. So quality assurance, if we having the contrast with the quality assurance in distance education, we check the towards a quality assurance mechanism that need more clarity, and we need more consensus on it. We recognize that's matter with the recognition and accreditation, institutions versus program, process versus product, volunteer versus mandatory, grading versus yes and no, and conclusion, not versus but and. So no program without core faculty and consensus building. Quality assurance and innovation education, a proactive vision for the future and challenges. This is the quality assurance innovation, the topic that I have to discuss with you. Technology trend, we check the technologies trends in our world that we use mostly offline and online, but we have a ubiquitous computing, access to the computing power, anytime, anywhere, any place, and open data that is access to any information anytime, anywhere. Definitely, we have to have technology trend with the learning analytics, ability to base teaching decisions on data, semantic search, ability to talk and converse with machines, collaboration technologies, ability to collaborate with anybody in real time. Personalization technologies move away from the traditional massification concept. So this is the trend nowadays in the world. So we can imagine the technology-based education is not simple like the simple that we have in a history, traditional distance learning. So the social change mean increased demand for education. This is also a innovation or trend in quality assurance. We have to provide graduate supply to the knowledge economy, increase efficiency of processes, extended reach of the programs, and adapt content to ever-changing priorities. This is not stagnant. We have to change our content with the passage of time. It should not be for the 1 year to 2 years or 3 years as the cycle of distance learning to change. So we have to do more, better, and with less cost. This is selected trends in online, open, and flexible higher education. Growing role of open education resources. This is what said Professor Zuhairi. Mushrooming of diploma mills. This should not be. Open data should be our approach. Emergence of non-traditional providers, increasing demand for recognition and portability. So if we have to consider the post-COVID situation also. This is not end of online trend adopted by a formal system of education or traditional distance learning. I have a data, might be this is more complicated, but the next slide will be more helpful to understand the growth in technology-based education. We are used to with the edX and Coursera and other organizations. The Coursera mentioned that they have 640% higher from mid of March to the mid of April than during the same period last year. So they increase the technology-based education enrollment. The same is with the another MOOCs provider, 400%. And this is the situation with open distance learning universities and virtual universities. They have more pressure on their institutions like Coursera and edX and other things. So what is the possibility future scenario? The possible future scenario after the COVID-19 or next 5 to 10 years, teaching performance will be calculated based on reuse of their teaching materials. That is the reusability. Teacher pay will be determined by the fame of their products, what their capacity and capabilities they have to do online to develop the content for the MOOCs and online education. Teaching performance will include an efficiency component, not effectiveness, more efficient. How much material did you reuse and not have to create? This is another possible scenario. That we don't have time to develop and create new things. We have to reuse the available resources that we have, open education resources and other forums and sources. So emergence of non-traditional providers, they have to have hybrid providers, teaching examination centers, exams only companies, publishers, and universities. So they are working on all these things. So what is the possible future scenarios? Quality assurance agencies will become strongly educational regulators, and they will become increasingly irrelevant. These are the possible scenario we are foresee and forecast in next 5 to 10 years. So the quality assurance should be innovative. Quality assurance should consider all these reusability, open education resources, MOOCs and other things. It's not fixed on only hybrid, blended and online, fully online things. So quality assurance will become a branch of law enforcement in future. Keep in mind, this is not only an agency. This will be a law enforcement, what we are seeing in future. And students expect higher education to provide portable and recognizable qualification. This should be for every country, not only for the developed countries. And keep in mind the issues and challenges, what we are talking in this forum and other forums, this is not fixed with Pakistan. This is not fixed with Indonesia. This is with the developed countries also, because this was the situation that not expected by the developed countries that they will have in any situation. So open data and quality, we have to assure minimum quality standards set by the different organizations and our agencies, other various ranking methodologies, give access to our data, allow for user review and rating. And for my last 2 slides, let me share the possible future scenarios for the quality assurance innovation in technology-based education. Internal quality assurance will become focused on metrics, and external quality assurance will be about verifying the metrics. So this will be the situation, and this is the situation in Pakistan. You can see the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan having some standards and parameters how to meet this COVID-19 situation. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, they were not aware about the online education and they were not having any capability. So they developed the things, they developed the parameters and framework for readiness only. You can imagine the level of the capability of the Ministry of Education in Pakistan. Now they have more and more options and things for the online education. But at the start, if we compare it with last 3 years or 3 months, they were having such things. But now with the help of Open University Pakistan and Virtual University of Pakistan, they are much aware about all these things and they are developing many things for the future. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for the organizers.
Thank you very much for your speech, Dr. Zahid Majeed. It's nice presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have insight how the quality assurance applied for the open and distance education, and we have perspective the implementation of QA in Open University in Indonesia, and also Open University from Pakistan. I know that many things that have to be delivered by this forum, but because of the time limitation, not all the presentation can be shared by both presenter. But for all of you participants, you can download and read the material presentation. In the address will be notified later. Okay, thank you, Dr. Majeed and Dr. Aminudin Zuhairi. And now we'll discuss about the questions from our participant for both of you. Okay, this question for Dr. Aminudin Zuhairi from Road Septina Verawati Goldom, Ojat, Jakarta. Sir, as you explained, the distance learning has been implemented for a long time. Well, in this case, there must have been a trial first. or in another sense, already well prepared. Well, during the COVID-19 period, it was like shock therapy for school that had no preparation for distance learning. And there are even teachers who don't really understand technology. What do you think about this? What is the best way for this teacher to do? Thanks. Please, Mr. Aminudin Zuhairi.
Thank you for the question, Ibu Ferawati Gultam. Yes, of course, for us, OU Pakistan, UT Indonesia, we've been in the business for 30 to 40 years over, and it took a while. Open and distance learning is it's a big endeavor. Lots of effort spent to make to operationalize this one. Of course, when we have a sudden change, there will be concern on quality, because you can't just transform everything overnight. But I agree with you. This is a shock therapy for all of us working in the educational institutions, even for UT itself, and also as by Dr. Majeed, for OU Pakistan, we have to transform very quickly. We have to go online even faster. It's not even without COVID, we were working on it. But now COVID has made us work faster and harder to transform ourselves to become more online, to provide better opportunities for us to teach online and for the student to learn online. And I think for the campus-based universities and traditional educational institutions, they must work even harder because they are not used to it. They learn the technology, they learn to produce the materials online, interact online. But we have, I'm sure that quality is everyone's concerns. And once we implement a system, we have to continually look at it carefully, critically, and we have to continuously improve its quality. Quality is not one thing that we can achieve just overnight. It's a continuous process, and we have to put a serious effort to it. So now we have to realize we have to go online, use technology, and we must get started very soon. We must learn very quickly. We must change the attitudes of the teachers and staff and students to use the technology in teaching and learning. I think that is the best thing to do. I think for all of us working in the field of education. Yunus. Yeah.
Yunus, you still unmute. Speaker.
Thank you for Pak Amin. And now the questions to Dr. Zahid Majeed from Ayu Maulidia, UT Pangkal Pinang. How to maintain the effectiveness of learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, and can online learning still be used after the COVID-19 pandemic? Please, Dr. Zahid Majeed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yunus, and thanks for the question. This is very important with the current scenario at Allama Iqbal University. As I said, for last 5 years to 8 years, the Allama Iqbal University was working with the traditional correspondence distance learning mode. For last 5 years and especially last 2 years, we seriously shifted the whole Allama Iqbal University system on automation and digitization. Not only the teaching learning process, our whole financial system, admission, assessment, our daily official matters, that all together is shifted online and digitization. This is a big investment of Allama Iqbal University in last 2 years. It's about $20 million investment of Allama Iqbal University on budget to shift the whole Allama Iqbal University on the digitization. This is the same situation that we are not using Google or Zoom for teaching learning process. We use our own Agahi portal, that is based on the Moodle, but we have some adaptations in the learning management system. We built in the plagiarism software and tool. We built in the virtual classroom in learning management system, and also the assessment part of the teaching learning process. So you can imagine daily we have 8 slots for the online teaching classrooms. 8 slots means from 8 o'clock to the 9 o'clock evening, we have 8 classrooms for one aspect. So the one aspect means that in one slot we have we have about 90 virtual classrooms, and that 90 virtual classroom is with 100 students with one classroom. So altogether daily more than 30,000 students use virtual classroom or online learning system of Allama Iqbal University. So this is effective for the learning process during the COVID situation. And this is not to be end after the COVID-19. This will be continue. We shifted all our tutorial system. We shifted our all lecturing or classrooms, face-to-face component on our online learning management system. So we maintain the effectiveness of this online learning mode with the standards that given by the Ministry of Education or Higher Education Commission, but also keeping in mind the Asian Association of Open University Framework and the International Council for Distance Education, as well as the Commonwealth of Learning Framework. So how we maintain the effectiveness? This is done by the parameters that we have from different organizations and developed by the Allama Iqbal Open University. And this is very effective nowadays. We shared the same framework and the learning management system with the former universities of Pakistan, and they are also using all this our own developed or adapted system for their teaching learning processes. Yes, please.
Thank you, Dr. Zahid Majeed. I think many questions have been delivered from participants. And the next question from Nadia Fairuz Rahman. We still have time about 5 minutes, so maybe Mr. Aminudin and also Mr. Zahid will can answer the question shortly. From Nadia Fairuz Rahman to Pak Aminudin. My name is Nadia from English Literature. As we know, nowadays many providers apply artificial intelligence in supporting digital learning. My question is, will AI fully change the function of teacher tutor in the future? Thank you. Please, Mr. Aminudin Zuhairi.
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Nadia Rahman. Yeah, that's a very important question. But of course, technology changes the way we live, the way we work, the way we learn, the way we teach, the way students learn as well. Of course, everything's changed. And just like the history of distance education, it started with correspondence. Then we have multimedia broadcast, radio, television, video, and now we have IT. Will artificial intelligence fully change the function of teachers? Well, of course, it will support digital learning, online learning, but it will take time that could happen, but I don't know when. Nobody knows, and I don't know how. But it's for sure, AI helps we learn, the way we teach. Just like now, we didn't used to have auto car, intelligent car, but now we have a car that can drive itself. So there may be a possibility, but we don't know. We don't know exactly when, but of course, in the very near future, and then it's actually now all technologies that can be employed now really support and help learners to learn and teachers to teach. That's my thank you for the question. I give it back to Pak Yunus.
Thank you, Pak Aminudin Zuhairi. And now the last question from Krishna to Dr. Zahid Majeed. In my opinion, distance learning requires strong discipline and in-depth engagement from not only student teacher but also parents and society. How to build a commitment of all parties, stakeholders involved, and how to quickly familiarize this new learning style. Thank you. Please, Dr. Zahid Majeed in a short answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Krishna. This is important, not only in the situation of COVID-19. This we faced at Allama Iqbal Open University also. We call this the change theory, change dimension, change mechanism. This is important that every stakeholders involved in open distance learning situation should own the change of distance learning to online learning. And this is happening very slow in my university. But this should not be a slow process. This should be a quick process, as quick like we use and we shifted from analog to digital. Means from simple mobile phone to the smart mobile phone. So this is the need of the time. So every party or every stakeholder should give commitment and should have to accept this change. If they accept, then there will be no problem and there will be no delay from the stakeholder side. And how quickly it is, yes, definitely, we have to keep in mind the issues and challenges we are facing. And we have to have the solution of these challenges. So what we did in the last year, we have a project with UK Open University. We having to develop our e-tutor training toolkit for our teachers and tutors and for our students. This is the big change in Allama Iqbal Open University. We invested about £100,000 to develop this e-tutor training toolkit. They will give the capacity, they will give orientation, they will give confidence, and they will give a lot of things what we have discussed, the pedagogies, assessment, ethics, online teaching toolkits, learning management system. So this whole package will be available for our students, tutors, teachers, and other stakeholders that they were much familiar with the online system of education and to handle this situation easily. So this is quickly possible if we consider and minimize the issues and challenges we are facing. And every university is doing their best. What the Minister of Research and Technology just mentioned, they are trying to give more facilities, provisions, and financial help to the University of Terbuka also to help other people. So with the help of the stakeholders, you can quickly change the picture and scenario and the landscape that stakeholders will accept it and they will use it very quickly.
Well, the last question from Krishna, Dr. Zahid Majeed, and now I think the time is up. So thank you very much to Dr. Zahid Majeed and also to Dr. Aminudin Zuhairi for sharing your ideas, your insight, and your experience how to conduct the quality assurance for distance education. And thank you, Prof. Ojat, for your support to the KSF. Now, ladies and gentlemen, participant of the 11th Knowledge Sharing Forum, before we close this forum, let me highlighting our discussion and presentation in this morning. From the Minister of Research and Technology, accreditation is not the only structure limiting innovation at college and university, but it embedded in and shaped by a complex architecture of regulation that systemize innovation. So accreditation system should be developed that is supportive of innovation and which limit bad actors through focus outcomes. UT as a leader, distance learning in Indonesia expected to conduct online learning to create and trigger the other to make education more accessible and more better for all of the Indonesian people. From Dr. Amin, challenge of QA in ODL is ability to address disruption such as variation in QA policy integration in national QA system that have different approach to QA implementation and different QA frameworks. From Dr. Zahid Majeed, technology give rise to new expectation from the quality ecosystem, such as assure minimal quality standard over various ranking methodologies, allow for user review and rating, and then the possible future scenario that can be done in ODL is internal quality assurance will become focused on metrics, and external quality assurance will become about verifying metrics. Thank you very much for distinguished speakers, presenter, and Prof. Ojat, and also for all the participants. See you next on the next KSF again. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Majeed, Pak Amin, Pak Yunus, semuanya.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
See you next.
See you. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Majid. Good to see you.
Thank you, Dr. Majid, Pak Amin.
Yep.
Dr. Majid, see you.
Thank you very
Yeah. I will visit Allama Iqbal one day. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay. My best regard to Kamran.
Yes, definitely I will.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Pak Amin. Thank you, Dr. Majid.
See you. Thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Terima kasih, Pak Yunus. Dr. Majid. Thank you.